Hey, welcome to What Do You Think of This? We are revisiting the best things from our past to let you know whether they're the best things for your future. I'm Jeff Abiad. With me today is Josue Escobar.
What's up, everybody?
How's it going, Josue?
It's me again.
It's us again. Okay, we are both creative professionals. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Not necessarily because of this podcast. Are you at the point where you're willing to put podcast host in your email signature?
Not yet. Oh, no.
I don't know if even that's a point of pride or shame.
Right? Yeah.
But anyway,
it's really funny. I still don't know how to react when people are like, I caught your podcast the other day. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad. Like, I'm not a celebrity, but that's kind of what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, one day. Yeah, I never know if people are saying that tongue in cheek.
I would be a great celebrity, I think.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think I'd be great at it.
Because you'd be a man of the people.
Yeah, I'd be like Don Corleone.
Well, no, because today's episode has a bit of an artistic swing for a couple reasons. One, we're doing our very first musical, and I have something you don't know about that we're going to do at the front end. But It got me thinking about getting into music, and we've talked about this a little bit, but have you ever been in a musical?
Well, I mean, elementary school.
Yeah. What was your, because this is our first musical episode, what was your first musical experience?
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
No.
And I was the Hunchback.
No, you weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, my only part, I mean, there was a chorus part, it's choir and it's a musical, whatever. So.
What grade?
Oh, man, it was elementary school. I don't remember if it was Bailey's Crossroads in Falls Church. Shout out. I know it must have been anywhere from 5th grade to 1st grade because I know that in Glasgow Middle School was a 6th grade to 8th grade school. So I definitely was at Bailey's.
And would they do something like a musical or play every year?
I mean, I don't remember.
Okay, but this is the first one that you remember.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's a point.
My parents came and everything. Yeah.
Is that a point of pride for parents when they're like, my son is the Hunchback?
I don't know, man.
That's the biggest, that's the whole point.
I mean, what I kind of remember or think back is it wasn't huge. It wasn't a lot of kids in the play, the music. Production. Yeah. And I don't remember if we did multiple parts. Like if I was only the Hunchback at the very end, because one of the things that I really only remember doing was the curtain opens, and I forget what part of the storyline this is, but the curtain opens because there's like a reveal a little bit. The curtain opens, and I am in the Hunchback costume. And I'm pulling a rope.
The bell?
Because I'm doing the bell, yeah.
Clang, clang.
Yeah. So that's the biggest memory of that I remember. And I know I must have sang in the costume, but I don't remember the actual singing part. But then I also remember standing with all the kids singing with like the teacher in the front.
I wish there was video of this.
I know, right? This is before like social media and a camera on your phones. Crazy.
Because now you're mostly on the production side of things.
Yeah.
But had you been in a lot of musicals, plays, performances?
Nope. Okay. After that, I don't think I ever did that again. I don't think I was ever in a musical or... I mean, I think maybe I did choir for like church. I don't think I ever did that kind of thing again.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to doing it now, but yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, we need to work something up. Well, because I've been in so many musicals. It happened just regularly, not only in church, in school. And I went to like a little private school, but then even coming into high school, there was a musical every year and also more than one like play. So tons of stuff. The first one I can ever remember being in, though, was 3rd grade. And I don't remember the name of the play, but I was the leading role. And I was an alien named Zach. And I remember wearing like a sequiny kind of shiny, shimmery blue, not wig, but looks like a wig.
Yeah.
And my introduction to the play, I had to moonwalk onto stage.
Moonwalk? Like Michael Jackson?
Yeah, but I was hilarious. A little kid. I didn't know. You knew, but I don't know what I was doing.
You didn't do it. Do you remember if you did it right?
I'm sure I did it where people knew that what it was supposed to be and I wasn't actually doing it, which made it funny, which is probably the whole point. Zach the alien who was lost, he like lost his planet or whatever.
Yeah.
It's funny coming off of E.T. I can still remember the song. Here I am, the other side of somewhere. Somewhere was the name of his planet. Somewhere that is very far from home. It was a whole thing. But yeah, that was my first exposure to being in a musical.
That's hilarious.
So I feel like I have seen and been in a lot of musicals, but never seen, we talked about this one that we're talking about today, we're going to be talking about Newsies.
The Newsies.
So we'll hit that in a second, and you can look at the bookmarks for where that's going to be. But before we do that, we talked last week, I think, 2 weeks ago, about our skill drawing certain animated things. And I was saying, I could draw Odie.
Yeah.
It's like one of the one things I could draw growing up. And you mentioned The Simpsons.
I can draw The Simpsons. I mean, I can do landscapes pretty well. Like a mountain range, the sun, a river, but like not.
Is it always about the same thing?
Yeah. I've got one skill in drawing.
That's what I feel like. I can do one thing really well, and that's how this Odie evolved.
Yeah.
So my idea for the podcast right now, and this is going to be visual later, and maybe we'll post pictures on Instagram, is I brought, I don't know if you saw this, 2 freshly sharpened pencils.
Oh, gosh.
One of these is for you. And I have a couple pieces of paper, but you're really only going to need one. So I'm going to give you a piece of paper here. And I'm going to walk you through, you and the listener, instructions how to draw Odie.
Oh, wow.
But I have this came from one of our board games downstairs.
Oh, we can't
So you can't see what I'm doing. I'm going to just try and guide you with my voice.
All right.
That way, and this is not going to be long. We'll make it kind of quick, but that way people at home, if they want to draw and then see, because at the end, we're going to see just how closely our images resemble one another.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of like that whole thing where people like trace on their back and they have to draw it on the piece of paper. Yeah.
It's like that. Maybe next time for Bart Simpson, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. But you have a general sense of what Odie looks like, right?
Yes.
He's a yellow dog with a big tongue.
I have my phone in front of me. There's no cheating allowed, right?
Even if you did, and he's kind of a little pudgy. I don't even know what kind of dog.
At the bottom, he's pudgy, but he's got like kind of a longer neck.
Exactly.
Right? Almost like a what's it called?
Giraffe.
A giraffe. I was going dinosaur.
Brachiosaurus.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is already, by the way you're describing this is going to be interesting. But like I said, because I don't draw that many things and I'm a very details person, I'm sure a real animator would not draw it the way that I'm going to tell you to draw it. But I drew it in this very specific order because this is how I taught myself to draw it.
Kind of like how to do your ABCs?
Probably.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the eyeball. Odie has 2 big eyes. Okay. So you're just going to do one oval shaped eye. Now, I will tell you while you're drawing this that Odie is going to be facing towards the left. So make your oval, just kind of keeping that in mind. Okay. And about 2/3 down that eyeball, you're going to do a little curved line to the left, which is going to be the beginning of his kind of snouty nose coming off of his eye. So there's one eye because we're going to do the other eye behind this, and that little nose, just so you have something to put the other eyeball behind. And then the other eyeball is going to come like almost symmetrical with this eye. It's just going to curve right off the top, but it's going to go behind that line you just drew. Does that make sense? So he's looking to your left, to the side.
Yeah. The other eye is, okay, I get you now.
I already messed mine up.
How long is his snout? I don't remember anymore.
Well, this just a little bit, and it's going to be longer, but the next thing we're going to draw is his nose. On the end of that little bit, you're just going to draw another oval leaning to the side, which is his nose. And then as if your line continued from the eye.
I'm drawing Bart Simpson again.
You're going to just draw a curved line from the bottom of the eyeball where you started through the nose, down and around, which is going to be his front of his face. And it's just going to be kind of a curved front of his face. And mine already looks. And it's not a full circle, but almost. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Like I said, I haven't drawn this since high school.
I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
Okay. And then where that bit comes up, which is going to be the top of his mouth. So where it landed, you're going to do another, and this is going to come up with Odie a lot, like curved line, just a little like blip, blip, which is just extra kind of skin at the end of that mouth. Okay.
Oh, so he has okay. The thing is, I can't recall this dude's face in my mind.
I know. And
I'm pretty good at that kind of thing, but
I wanted to look up a picture of this just to refresh myself, and I avoided it because I thought this will be better if I just do this from memory.
I'm gonna draw in his pupils.
No, that's next.
Okay, that's nice.
So first we're gonna do his eyelids.
Okay,
which is almost halfway down. Just kind of come in. You can connect them however you want.
His eyelids. Okay.
Then you can just add his pupils in.
Wait, are his pupils like at the edge of the eye?
I'm making them look towards me. So they're on kind of the lower half. And this is one part that I don't actually remember. So we're gonna see what it looks like.
Why does my Odie look like he's high? What about eyelids on the bottom? Does he have eyelids on the bottom?
No, just the top. And I'm gonna color in the nose just to make it a little bit darker. Okay. Now Odie has funny flopped ears, and they come up from behind the eyeballs, and they're gonna come up and then lean forward. So almost like a boomerang, but the top half is thicker. It's his big ear. So it's like kind of thin, but then it just...
From the top of his head?
So I'm starting from the back of the eyeball, and I'm just going to go up and to the front, in front of his face. Does that make sense?
Nope.
From where his eyeball is, where you drew his first eye, you're going to draw a line straight up and then towards his snout, and then wrap it right back around and then down to the eye. And we're just drawing the ear that's closest to us.
His ear is over his head?
It flops forward.
I think I'm wrong on this.
And then connect it down.
Are you talking about his front eye or his back eye?
The one that's closest to you.
What?
I know. And again, this is all from memory. So
this is what?
And then the second ear is the same exact thing, but behind it. So like the eyeball, you're just going to draw the whatever little bit of it you can actually see kind of sticking forward.
I'm going to just do what you told me to do. And you're going to be like, what the heck did you do? He looks like a cross between a dog and Homer Simpson to me right now.
Yeah, well, that might be your own personal skill there. Man, mine looks ridiculous too. Okay, from the base of his ear where it touches his eyeball. You got that?
No.
Where I am?
His what?
His ears should be creeping up from behind the eyeball to the front.
I am not.
This is not going to be very exciting to listen to, so I'm just going to keep us going.
Okay, go.
Okay, so from the top of the eyeball, wherever the bottom of the ear is, somewhere around there, you're going to draw a backwards C, basically. That's going to be the back of his head, and it's going to be rounded. It's going to come from the top of his head, and it's going to show up to right where his neck is going to be. So you're basically, another kind of circular shape.
This is terrible, dude.
Mine is pretty bad also. So
okay.
So don't. Okay. You got that?
How is this his ear?
This is insane.
This is not Odie. What the heck? I'm like, okay, go.
Okay. And then from the bottom of that, we're going to draw like his neck. So this is going to be the back of his neck, just a straight line, however long you want his neck to be, to where his body is going to connect. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In front of that, you're going to draw where his mouth opens. So it's just going to be another line in the middle of his neck, which for Odie is his whole mouth. So in front of that, like wherever that bottom of the front of his mouth that you drew earlier, just draw a line from there about and go straight down in front of the parallel with the back of the neck that you just drew.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Okay, and then from the bottom of that line, you're going to draw his lower lip. So it's just going to come forward to a point right here and then back for his chin. Got it?
Nope, but I got it. This is going to be hilarious, guys. This is, look.
I wish we could have
I'm way better at this. Trust me.
I wish we could have an overhead camera. Okay, and then the middle of his mouth, right in the middle, top to bottom of that mouth/neck, you're going to start his tongue, and it's just going to be a curved line. So we're going to start with the middle of his tongue. It's just going to be a little arch.
He's just poking it out?
Yeah, it's sticking straight out of his mouth. So you're just going to draw a curved line.
Like that? Okay, whatever. You can't see it.
No, I can't see it. But a little bit below it, you're going to draw a similar line that's going to follow it to the end, but then it's going to keep going and wrap around a circle from bottom to top. So you draw the little arch you just drew is the middle of his tongue. And then under that, you're going to follow it. But then when you get to the end, you're just going to go whoop, big around, and then touch it at the top. And that's going to be his tongue.
What are you talking about? Okay. He's got a big tongue.
Oh, it's big, yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean. I did it wrong. Okay.
Mine looks silly, but I'm not going to worry about it.
Mine looks terrible.
Okay, and now we're going to complete his mouth. 1/3 line we just drew the tongue first so it wouldn't overlap. Now
Oops, I thought I did his mouth.
Well, you did. So now in front of the two lines you drew the back of his neck, the middle, and now you're going to draw a little bit further, almost touching the end of his lip, another line that comes bottom to top. That's the back side of his mouth. That makes sense?
Nope.
But that's just going to go all the way to the top.
To the top of what?
To the top where it touches his like nose, snout area.
Okay.
And then you can just shade that in. Okay. Well, I would normally shade it in later, but I don't want to come back to it. So we're just going to color in the inside of his mouth just a little bit dark.
I think I messed up completely.
I think I also messed up.
I mean, no, this is bad. You have an idea in your head of what he's supposed to look like. I kind of do, but this is not what he looks like.
We might fast forward this on the podcast. I just can't wait to see what yours looks like.
This is terrible.
Okay. From the bottom of his neck. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now at the back. So on your you're looking at it's your right side, but it's the back of his neck. You're going to draw a little lump, like an arch up and down.
Like a cancerous tumor?
No, yeah. It's where his skin is folded. So you're going to draw a little lump and then you're going to do a big one, even bigger than the back of his head. That's just going to go all the way around his butt to where his back leg's going to be. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just drawing one line and then two is going to go womp. Okay. I haven't done this in so long. My pencil strokes are a little too heavy and this looks ridiculous. Okay.
Yours looks ridiculous.
Okay. Now
mine's an abomination.
Now from the bottom of his chin, you're just going to draw a line kind of angled to the front, straight down to where his foot's going to be. Okay. Does that make sense? I keep asking if that makes sense, but I know none of this makes sense.
No, that doesn't make sense. But it's going to go straight down and then it's going to eventually be his foot.
Yeah. So, just one line, however long you want his leg to be down. Mm-hmm. And the front of his leg is going to be like that lump at the back of his neck. So you're going to do little lump, big lump for his foot, and then come back up with the back of his leg.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. I totally messed up. But yeah, okay. I'm just going to do it the way you described it.
And then that's his left foot. His right front foot, same thing. You're just going to draw a second line. So whatever your angle was for the ears, same thing. You're just going to draw another line behind it and then another foot sticking out behind it.
Uh-huh. I'm skipping ahead here. Sorry.
That's fine. No problem at all. Okay. And then on the front of his foot, you're going to draw a little curved line. That's going to be one of his
I get you.
Toe, paw things.
I get that part.
Okay.
Kind of.
And then let me think how I used to do this it doesn't really matter too much. You're basically going to do two of those in the back. The only catch is the back leg kind of curves around and then down because think of a dog's kind of alternate elbow, Mm-hmm. It's going to start a little bit into his body and it's going to curve around and then just make the same kind of a leg. We're going to open up an art school after this.
Oh, people are going to be ashamed. I don't remember what he looks like in the back. He has a tail.
Oh, yeah. I'll walk you through the tail. That's my favorite part. But right now, we'll just focus on these big old feet. They're really big.
How does the rest of his body connect to the front of his
Okay, so
legs?
where his front leg comes to the top, you're just going to draw a little stomach to the back foot. So as if it's connecting to his butt that you drew around, you're just going to complete that shape.
I messed up completely. Odie has no neck.
How does Odie have no neck? Odie is all neck.
I messed up.
Okay, you got that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then that little bit of leg that you draw inside of his body, there's a spot.
Okay.
So you can't see the whole spot because imagine it's kind of covered up by the leg. So you're going to draw like a little moon shape or a little circle behind the leg, however you want his spot to look.
Okay.
Okay, and then that spot you can shade in however you want. And you should be pretty much having a whole dog now, just missing some accessories.
I do. I mean, he's a messed up dog.
So we're going to draw his tail wagging.
His tail wagging.
Yep. So wherever you want his tail to be on the upper back side of his butt, there's going to be two curved lines.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So make sure you leave some space between his butt and the first line so you can draw his actual tail. But you're going to draw these two arched lines.
That meet at a point, right?
They don't meet.
They don't meet.
Nope.
What? Really?
Just two lines, two curved lines, just one and one, both behind his butt.
Okay.
Okay. Now on the butt side, you're going to start with one tail. And I'm going to explain this and let you do it. But you're going to do one tail coming to the first curved line. That's going to just kind of sprout out like it's wagging. But in the middle of the curved lines, don't draw anything. And then on the outside, you're going to draw 4 little end tails. So on the inside, it's just one thing, basically a trunk. And then on the outside, it's like in motion.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So it's wagging there. I don't know whose artwork I'm basing this off of. I should look in some of my old drawings and see if this looks anything.
Folks, when you guys see this is going to be pretty terrible. This is going to be one of those things where, like, man, Josue cannot take direction very well.
Listen,
if you're doing this at home while listening to this, send us in your pictures because I'm sure it's going to be hysterical.
You can color that tail in however you like. I'm getting excited. We're almost done here. Underneath that tail, there's basically a V. It's 2 little hairs, just somewhere on the bottom of on his butt, behind the tail, under the tail. Just
there's
do a little
V?
A V. Almost looks like a V. It's just 2 little hairs sticking out of his bum.
Okay. That's weird.
I know. And then behind the back of his head, he has 2 bigger, like hair sort of things that look like elongated teardrops, but they start at the same point. So draw like 2 just kind of bubbly teardrops sticking out from the back of his head. And I think they're supposed to be cartoon kind of hairs. You know, we've been making an effort lately to try and keep the podcast shorter. Yep. And then on our Garfield, we added an extra movie, which has prevented us from keeping that episode shorter. And this may be our longest episode ever, and we haven't even gotten to the Newsies.
Exactly.
Okay. And then under that, draw another little V, 2 hairs. Okay. 2 more details, and this is it.
Okay.
At the base of his snout, like mouth thing, you're just going to draw 2 kind of curved lines, just like little accent lines to make it look more whatever. And the pièce de résistance coming off of his tongue drops, spit drops. So whatever you want those to look like.
Got it.
Just kind of splashing off.
I just did lines.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh my gosh.
All right, ready to reveal? What should we show people first, mine or yours?
Go ahead and show yours because you have it in your head what he looks like, right?
This here, my Odie. I guess I could have colored the ears in.
Oh my gosh. I see what you're talking about now.
Okay. And then here you go. You can
His mouth was open.
His mouth is open. Did I not say that?
Nope.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and hold yours up to the camera? I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it from here. And I'll stitch this in on the video so people can see it.
Yeah, maybe we'll take a separate picture of it.
Yeah, let me see.
Oh my gosh. It's so bad.
Not bad though on the legs and the spot. Yeah, the mouth, the closed mouth was really the problem there.
Oh my. And the ears, the way the ears are. Yeah.
Yep.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Odie, everybody.
It looks like he has like a helmet on or something.
Next time for our very exciting segment where we just walk you through how to draw something.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I can't wait to put these on the Instagram feed.
Newsies is about a bunch of kids in New York City in the early 1900s fighting for their rights. And with a Disney spin on it, there's tons of singing and dancing. And I found the movie in high school. And me and my girlfriends, it was a staple with our slumber parties, and we all just adored it and played it on repeat. And it's a lot of fun now to share it with my kids and see them singing and dancing right along with it.
I want to hear your history here because, like I said, I've never seen this.
Yeah.
When was the first time you saw Newsies? Why is this a thing for you?
Oh my gosh. I must have, probably the same time I watched, around the same age as I watched Chucky. I must have been 5, 6 years old, maybe 8. I'm not sure, but it's one of those movies that me and my brother Edgar would quote to each other all the time and sing and like know word for word.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
And we'll get into this. Only Edgar though?
Yeah. For the most part. Jose knew it. My dad, they know it, whatever. Obviously, they've seen it. But like me and Edgar, for some reason, this was our back and forth.
You just had the tape at home and you would pop it in. I think our version of that at my house was...
We had the VHS. For sure, we had it on VHS.
Yeah.
We
didn't have this one. We had Annie, Little Orphan Annie.
Yeah,
I remember watching that.
That one we didn't watch.
Okay. And what year did this come out? I looked it up because
91?
I saw 90. I thought 92.
91, 92?
Because there's a newer one since then. Yeah, 92. And it 92. Was set, though, in 1899.
Yeah.
Which we kind of talked about last time when I knew nothing about this. Now I actually know.
Yeah. But you were pretty close.
I want to listen back. I haven't listened
back
yet.
You were kind of close about like what's going on here.
And I looked up, like, in history, this is based on a true event.
Yep.
Okay, there was a war going on.
Yes.
The Spanish...
I think it was the Philippine... Some war in the Philippines, I think.
Oh, wow. I was way
At least I think that's what they say in the movie.
Oh.
Because Denton is like, they're sending me off to cover the war.
Oh, yeah, he does say that. Okay. So, and the setup is these guys, they're kids, basically. Some of them orphans, poor kids.
Yep.
They're making money by selling papes.
Selling the papes.
If I hear somebody say papes one more time... Gosh, come on now.
50 papes. Let me get 50 papes.
You don't want 20. You want 50 papes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna go in with Jack? No one refuses Jack.
The accents in this movie. Okay.
Never fear. Brooklyn is here.
Brooklyn. Okay. So they're selling papers and for whatever amount, but they have to buy everything that they're going to sell. And that's it.
Yes.
It's their inventory. So they have to put the money down and sell what they bought.
Yeah.
Otherwise they lose. And so these kids are poor.
Yeah. So like, what did you think of I mean, this really happened. There was like in New York in this time period, kids kind of went out and worked.
I didn't ask my children
this is before
but I bet they think I was alive at this time. Like, no, it's not the 1900s.
Right?
1800s.
Yeah. This was before like the child labor laws and things like that in this country.
Yeah, we can just make kids do whatever.
Yeah.
What would the equivalent of even this be? I know.
Well, yeah, true, because we don't have... Who reads the newspaper anymore? Who gets the newspaper anymore?
Exactly.
Right? Like, yeah.
What was your first job as a kid?
As a kid?
Yeah, like when you were coming into the workforce, because I feel the thing now is maybe fast food is still a thing.
So the very first thing, well, I mean, if I'm not talking about like helping my dad with, his job, like going to work with him and, learning how to paint, baseboards or whatever.
I just mean like the cliche thing. Because in this movie, kids, if they want to earn money, they're selling papers. And being a paper boy was still kind of a thing when we were kids, but not really anymore.
We sold lemonade. We had a little lemonade stand every time we did the, garage sale or whatever.
My kids have done that, but they don't actually make much money.
No, of course not. But my first thing was helping a friend, and this is going to be like, anyway, my thing was helping one of our youth leaders at my brother's church. Mm-hmm. He was like, hey, come with me. He started his own like lawn service and landscaping thing. He made a killing, cutting down people's trees, dead trees, mulching people's yards.
Sure.
Repainting.
That does feel kind of equivalent. And that's something that guys could just jump in. Like even my kids now, like, take the lawnmower, go around the neighborhood, knock on doors. And people in our neighborhood hire landscapers or do it themselves. But maybe you could mow a lawn.
I think in Centerville, when we lived in Centerville, I mowed our neighbor's yard for like $20.
Yeah. And people are really generous. I don't know about consistently though, because even the lemonade stand, a couple times that my cute kids have done it, they'll set up on the side of the road and people will drive by and then just drop a $20 or a $50 bin. The kids come back like, look at the money. And like, they don't even want the lemonade. They're just like, I want to support this kid.
Exactly.
Out here doing this and actually doing something. And they're really wonderful like that.
This is really different.
Oh, so different. This is like kids go out there, earn a living, support the family. You find out later that the other main character, Davy.
Hey, Davy.
His dad got injured at the factory, so he's just trying to help his family.
He got fired.
Ends meet. Yeah.
All right, real quick though, the cast. Okay. What did you think of the cast of this movie?
A very young Christian Bale plays our primary character, Jack.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about it.
I'm just saying, that's Batman in the future.
It's Batman, but because now, maybe when I saw Batman Begins, I didn't know who Christian Bale was yet because I was young and I hadn't seen his other stuff. I didn't know that he didn't have a normal, just American accent. And now I know, and you go and you're like, okay, I can hear where he's like putting on an American accent.
Yeah.
But him putting on a New York accent was the worst thing ever.
It's different standards back then for movies and accents, I guess.
I have no idea.
For Disney, I mean, it's a children's movie. So, yeah, they weren't, sticklers about it, I guess.
Because I can watch him in other stuff, putting on whatever accent. And he was a kid. So, my expectations are maybe a little bit different. But, it wasn't it was fine.
That's so funny. And then Denton. Our man, Denton.
Was he the guy that shows up later who's the guy from Independence Day?
Yeah, the president from Independence Day. He's the journalist.
The journalist. Yeah. Does he have a first name?
The
character.
Brian Denton.
Okay. What's the actor's name?
Bill
Paxton?
Bill Pullman.
Not Paxton. Pullman. Okay. Yeah. I didn't expect him in this. I didn't expect anybody in this. I'd never seen it.
What about Mr. Pulitzer? Hey, Mr. Pulitzer.
Duvall.
Yeah,
Robert Duvall.
He was great. I mean, acting wise, what he can do to this.
Before I knew,
he's like, he's like calculating how much money he's gonna make. Let's do it.
Before I knew it was him, I thought it was the old neighbor from Home Alone.
Oh gosh, yeah.
The guy with the shovel?
Yeah.
It kind of looked like him. And I'm like, okay, well, it can't be that guy. And I looked it up and I was like, Robert Duvall. I mean, because obviously we just watched him in The Godfather.
Yeah.
Where he was excellent.
Yeah.
And this felt different.
And he's not even that old, but they made him look pretty old.
Yeah, they made him look pretty old.
It kind of reminded me of the old man in Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, Dick Van Dyke.
So yeah, he was fine, Mr. Pulitzer. And who plays that rando New York kid with the cigar? What's his name?
Oh, from Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Scott?
No, not from Brooklyn. The guy at the very beginning. I think he does the narration at the opening of the movie. He's got dark hair. The kid under him steals his cigar and he takes it back.
Yeah, his Racetrack.
Yeah. Is he in anything else?
Racetrack Higgins.
I recognized his face.
He is. I mean, I know he's in a bunch of other stuff. Most recently, I think he's got in an upcoming show called Tulsa King. But he's done stuff like in the background or producing and things like that too. So I don't know if he's in anything else.
He's not the actor that plays Bernard in the Santa Claus, right? That's a different guy.
I don't know.
You know who I'm talking about? Like the elf that comes and walks him through becoming Santa when he falls off the roof. And he just appears out of nowhere and he's always eating a sandwich or something.
No, I don't think it's him. No.
But this is like typical Brooklyn kid. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I know. But he's not in anything that Brooklyn I have seen before, but he does have a pretty big filmography.
Okay. And Mr. Weasel, Mr. Wiesel. I know him from, he's in Elf as like the executive, that
that's right.
Guy work on Christmas. Is he also the dad in Clueless or something like that? Like I feel like I remember him playing a dad somewhere.
I don't remember.
I don't know why I put him there.
He's that, he's like that character. He reminds me a lot of that character even in Gladiator, that sells the guy the gay giraffes.
Queer giraffes.
You sold me queer giraffes.
I thought you were going to say in The Force Awakens, 3/4 portion.
Oh, no. He's just like that sleazy middleman. Like, I'm only doing this, for money. I don't care about anything, even my hygiene.
Yeah, at all. And then you got Meta
Larkson. Yep.
Who's the love interest from Grumpy Old Men. Remember that?
That's right. Yeah.
I saw her. I was like, why do I know this? Oh, yeah.
There's so many there's so many, they're just so young in this.
Yeah. I read on IMDb that she plays one of the characters in Bye Bye Birdie, which is one of the musicals I'm pitching we do for some personal nostalgia.
Word.
So I guess she was in that, but I don't think I saw that version of it.
Some other ones you might not know either is Jeffrey DeMunn. Anyway, Jeffrey DeMunn is an actor. He's Davy's dad who got injured.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's in The Walking Dead. He's Dale in The Walking Dead.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Great show. I know him from something else.
I think he's in a few things. He's in The Green Mile.
I haven't seen that in forever. But anyway, he was a recognizable face.
Yeah, he was in The X-Files, which I didn't know that. I don't know, but he was in The X-Files.
There was one of the kids that I recognized, and I think his character's name was Mush. He's Portman from Mighty Ducks 2 and 3. He's the guy that comes in as part of like the Bruise crew or the whatever squad, or the guys that the two Fulton and
the Delaney brothers,
the two guys that are always knocking everybody over.
Yeah.
He's that guy. But he didn't really have much of a role in this. He would just kind of pop in and out every now and then. Yeah. So I don't know. Cast was all right.
I mean, the cast was pretty crazy. I'm like, what in the world? All these people
that they were all in this.
Yeah.
And early in their careers.
Yeah.
Not as much for Robert.
I mean, so Jack, who's the main character, is supposed to be 17 in this. So that's the age range of, I guess, these kids is anywhere from what? Some 10? Of them look 10, right?
They told the kid, what's his name? Les. He told him, tell him you're 7.
Tell him you're 7. Yeah. You'll get more money that way.
And okay, so our titular characters are Jack and Davy.
Yep.
Okay. And I thought, and even the guy in the movie says, "Oh, David, like David and Goliath,"
Yep, because they're going up against the Pulitzer.
I thought these guys were like two sides of a version of the way a hero kid could go in this world, where like David seems more upright, like King David, like David and Goliath.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he has a sordid history too.
Yeah,
but somebody you look at and go, "Oh, he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
He's trying to do it the right. He doesn't want to lie. He doesn't want to stretch the truth. He wants to like do it the right way. He only wants to buy the papers he can afford." Meanwhile, Jack, the character that came to mind with Jack was Jack and the Beanstalk, which seems like that same kind of scrappy. I'm gonna get this done, but I'm not gonna do it above board. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get out on top.
Yeah. I mean, because what does he say about he embellishes the news basically to sell papers.
Yeah, because headlines don't sell papes. Newsies sell papes.
Yes, because they really do.
And so he's just making up, headlines to get the papers sold.
Exactly, because like the New York strike,
trolley strike.
The trolley strike is going on, and it's been going on forever, and it's the front page of the news again, and they're like, again, they're not giving us any material to sell the news, which I think speaks a lot to like nowadays.
Yep. I was just thinking that.
What sells the news, you know?
Yeah, because, and that's, if we're honest with ourselves, what we're after. Like people are after a story, something scandalous or salacious. Or, when she said that David's sister, what's her name, Sarah?
I think so.
When Jack is first meeting the family and she's like, "Oh, what makes a good headline?" And he says, "Oh, catchy words like maniac or corpse or love nest or nude."
Yeah. And then he looks over at the dad like, I'm sorry, maybe I'm talking too much.
Yeah, exactly. But that did feel like, even way back then, and who knows how many years earlier, they knew like, okay, people, they want to know what's going on. But if you have something that makes it like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way you're going to sell it. And of course, that's still what the news is today. It's like, okay, we're telling you this is news, but this is entertainment.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like,
it kind of sucks that you kind of have to. Now, I feel like back then, for them, they needed to sell the paper, or else they're going to pay for the papers they don't sell.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they did a good job of showing like how people are either want to know the news or don't. I mean, they go into that place where they're having a street fight, a boxing match in the front, right
near
in
the beginning of the movie to sell papers.
So people are distracted. They're not going to want to read the news unless it's something that pertains to them or is exciting or whatever.
Sure.
So you have to do something to get them to.
Do you have to though?
You don't have to, but if you're in that dire place,
you got to.
It's all about money.
These boys are broke, broke.
I bet you the same thing. The guys at the top are saying the same thing. Like, I want to make more money, so we got to sell the news somehow.
They did. They said that too. They were like, "Oh, we've been running the same headline for, it's the only story," and they know too.
I love how he compares it to, was it the Journal or the Sun? I forget. He says like, look how they talk about the front page, and look how we do it. He's very competitive, Mr. Pulitzer.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. It's all to get money.
And this is the dude in real life. This is the Pulitzer Prize comes from.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the real character.
If he was anything like this guy, dang.
They basically come up with a plan because they're not making the money that they want to be making.
Yeah, the Pulitzer and the Pulitzer Company, the World, the newspaper is called The World. So Mr. Pulitzer owns the world. Yeah. Crazy thing to name your news. Like,
but he acts like that too.
He acts like it. And he's like, how do we make more money? We can jack the price up of the paper. He's like, no, that sucks because our competitor is going to do the same thing and or lower it, and we're going to lose a lot of money. Whatever.
And he's like, oh, we can cut executive salaries. I'm like, we're not going to do that.
Nope, don't even mention that. One guy is like, are you crazy? Come on.
So basically, we could just charge the Newsies more.
He says we can charge the distribution apparatus more money, and the other guy's like, you want to charge the Newsies more for their Papes?
Yeah,
are you crazy?
Papes.
Yeah.
Every time they said it, I was like cringing inside. Papes.
And Mr. Pulitzer, like that's where that comes in, where he's just like, we do this, we do this. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, this is the best course of action. I read historically
because they don't have a union,
right?
To defend them. They can't. And
this is where we're going to make our money.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say I read historically that because of whatever war was going on, and it was news being distributed globally, there was a lot of stuff going on. Somewhere in there, cost went up everywhere, and then afterwards, people were bringing the cost back down, and they just didn't. They just were going to keep our price point up here, something like that. And I don't know the exact details.
Yeah.
So it was like based on truth, but in the movie, they for sure made him very
greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very greedy. And so the Newsies go the next day. They go to get their Papes, and their Papes. They go to get their Papes, and it's 10 cents 100 for 100 Papes. So it's
an increase,
like
a tenth of a cent,
per Pape. And it and they're going. It's like the blue collar, complaint thing of like, it's hard enough to make money out here. They're talking like they're middle-aged men.
Yeah.
Working it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility on them. Otherwise, they're not going to survive.
I'm going, man.
Yeah, lemonade stand's not going to cut it.
Yeah. Kids were way more resilient back then, I think, than they are today. You had to be. Wow. What a completely different world.
So they basically hatch a plan to unionize, inspired by this trolley strike. Strike.
We can do what they do with the trolley strike. Like, are you crazy? They have a union, we don't. Well, why don't we start one? And that's where we get the when the bell starts ringing. Will we hear it? No.
Just like because Pulitzer and Hirsch have to respect the rights of the working boys of New York.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I get it. I mean, the story was interesting. It's like, okay, there's a story here.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who wrote it originally. But yeah, there's a story. I mean, if it comes from real life, I think it's easier to put a story together from it.
Sure.
I'm guessing. I've never written a movie.
But of all the things, not even just a movie, a musical. Of all the things that you could put into a musical, I mean, there are musicals about ridiculous things or weird things or strange whatever. So I don't know the adaptation of this, if somebody was like immediately, this seems like it would be great to put into a musical. Yeah. It was odd. This is always, the idea of this has always been odd to me.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of supposed to be sort of rough around the edge New York, youths out there dancing in the street.
Yeah.
So Christian Bale's character, Jack, has his first soulful moment where he sings about wanting to go to Santa Fe.
Yeah.
So he meets David's family.
Yep.
And then his whole thing is like, this is what a family should be like. And you find out, he says, my parents are out west looking for a place in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
But he sings this really heartfelt song saying, is this what a family is? I don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's walking in the street at night and he just breaks out into this dance routine that's sort of Southwest inspired.
Yeah.
And he's tapping and spinning. I'm like, what is happening here?
He wants to be a cowboy.
He jumped on somebody's horse.
Yeah.
He got a hat out of it.
Exactly. He gave it back though, right? He gave the horse back.
He gave the horse. Well, he didn't give it back. He just left it in the street somewhere.
It found its way back to its owner. Hey, that's my horse.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
This is going to be in the headline of the Pape.
So, and some kids, so the movie too has some of these kids, smoking cigars. Hey, is that my cigar? Hey, don't worry, you'll steal another.
Yeah.
And he goes to get Papes. and this was a racetrack.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, listen, can you lend me 50 papes? I've got a good insider thing for a race that's happening, a horse race that's happening later. It's a sure thing."
Yeah.
And he sees at the end of Jack's dance at the end, and he's going back to I don't know if it's a home or like the Papers home base to house these kids.
Yeah, somewhere.
And because Dave has a house, he has a family in an apartment. Some of these kids, I think, have parents too, but or they're orphans also, or whatever, or they're runaways, and they're all living there. Anyway, he tells them, "Hey, how was the horse races?" And he's like, "Yeah, that guy, that insider, wasn't such a sure thing after all."
Obviously, yeah.
It's like, "Oh, dude, you just got into more debt. Now you owe these dudes more money." Oh,
not to mention the rising price of the Papes.
Yeah, poor kid.
What stands out for this movie that you really like the most about it?
I really do like the movie. I mean, the music. I really enjoy the music, especially the King of New York one.
I'm the King of New York.
Yeah. It's so catchy.
Is it?
I mean, well, that's where I guess the nostalgia comes in a little bit, because it's one of those I immediately hear it. It immediately takes me back.
Yeah.
I can picture everything going on.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Maybe the only exposure I had to Newsies before sitting down and watching this, because we never watched it, was when they would maybe recently show up in the Thanksgiving Day parade, the Macy's parade.
Yeah.
And here's a little bit from Newsies. That's those little blips are all I've ever seen of this.
Well, what's funny is this movie came out and it was a flop by all means.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was they put $15 million into it, and it only made $1 million.
And Disney did this.
And Disney
it was
did this.
Disney from the start, because it's on Disney now. But.
Yeah, and it didn't get a cult following until afterwards. Yeah. And now there's Broadway plays that have been done, traveling Broadway, all that kind of. And so now it's really popular. And there are parts of the story that aren't in the movie. I think how it was written, they obviously edit things out for movie, for time and things like that. For example, the very beginning, when the boys they come out of the home to go to go buy their papers. Mm-hmm. The nuns, that nun scene, they're like,
Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
Were they handing them cups of coffee?
Coffee, bread, yeah.
That was funny to me too. We're going to go and support these kids. We're going to hand them cups of coffee.
Yeah, they're helping. And then the one, did you notice? I don't know if you caught this or not, but it is kind of random in the movie.
Yeah.
Because they had to cut a lot of backstory to this. But that lady who comes and she's looking for her runaway kid.
Yeah. Is that what she was doing?
Yeah.
I was like, who is this woman?
You don't know unless you go see the full Broadway play or look up the entire script or story or whatever. But basically, it's trying to show that these kids, some of them are runaways. Some of them are kids that have run away from home.
Okay.
For whatever type of reasoning. But this mother is trying to find her kid. And I forget what the reasoning behind it is, but there's a little bit of a backstory of this kid.
But you're saying they put this together for a movie release, not as a musical. I mean, it is a musical, but they intended it to be on film.
This story, that's what I'm seeing.
Because the weird thing for me as a viewer is I was watching this and this felt like a musical, but it felt like it was made to be on a stage. The camera angles are all back here and we're watching a bunch of boys. I could see this happening on stage more than I felt it was compelling as a video, film.
Yeah.
Where you would maybe expect there were a couple close-ups and things like that. But for the most part, I'm like, okay, they're all just dancing in the street.
Yeah. Well, I think the guy who directed it was a choreographer first. Musical choreographer for plays and things like that first.
They did a lot of work in choreography.
Yeah. And I think from there on, he went to do a bunch of other stuff. And I think this was his first time directing a movie. So I think that's where that comes in, where he's has this musical play background, choreographer. And, directors are really the ones responsible to tell the cinematographer how to shoot some of this stuff. And so if his experience is only from sitting back in the audience as it's a play, then you can kind of see how that kind of translates onto the movie.
I don't know if people remember this, but we spent an episode or two talking about Alice in Wonderland.
Womp womp.
And similarly, but not the same, that one felt like we're always going to be at this mid-level shot. That felt all the same.
Oh yeah, true.
But there were no close-ups, but there was also nothing far away.
Yeah.
It was all like we're a bit like we are.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
You know? This one though, most of the time, I guess you would get the close-ups in the dialogue a little bit, but it never quite grabbed me from a visual perspective. It was like I could see this on a stage. And I wonder, I've never seen the musical, so I just wonder what the experience is like watching a Broadway production of it.
Yeah.
I assume it would be different.
I think it works really well. I mean, me and Elizabeth went to see this in person in DC. I forget which theater it was. And that was the first time I kind of learned about the storyline or how much they changed it to fit the movie from the original script.
So they had the script. Sorry, I know I asked you this already, but I'm just trying to get it. They had the script. They made it as a musical to be released on film, but then they took that and they stripped it down for the film.
Yeah.
But then the original script kind of went and did its own thing on Broadway.
Yeah, because he had an idea of what the story was, but they had to like chop it up and make it fit in a movie script better.
Yeah.
Like that whole in the movie, you kind of get the impression that Jack and Sarah kind of have a relationship, and like, you want me to stay? Should I go? If I go, there's nothing for me to say, right? Like they kind of work that out a little bit more in the actual storyline.
Yeah.
And I believe, if I'm not, and we can probably just on the next episode we can correct what I'm saying if I'm wrong. But I believe that Sarah, Davy's sister, was working at some low level thing at Pulitzer's company. And she snuck Jack and them in to work on the paper
when they made their own paper.
Yes. Yep. And then, but in the movie, they made Jack kind of do this whole, work for Mr. Pulitzer because Mr. Pulitzer bribed him. It's like a minimum offer you cannot refuse.
And he comes back in wearing a suit. Yeah,
because he's like, I'm going to give you more money than you ever had in your pocket. And so. But did you know that really happened?
I read that it was a different guy, one of the other characters, but they kind of gave it to Jack.
Yeah. So anyway, in the Broadway musical, she's the one who's like, I can sneak you guys in and we can use his printing press to do our own paper, get our word out.
So as the movie progresses, they decide to strike. Yep. Pulitzer obviously has a problem on his hands because now they're not selling any Papes. So they decide that to combat this, we need to find one of these kids, and they pinpoint Jack.
Yeah, as the leader.
Yeah, but who also has a different name?
Yeah, so Jack. Yeah, Jack is he doesn't have a family. We already established that. He used to be in the Refuge, which is a like juvie for kids.
And that's where we meet Warden Snyder, who is just pure evil.
Hey, Mr. Snyder.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that scene with Crutchy. So all this stuff happens. They finally go, hey, we're gonna strike, and we're gonna soak them. Like basically when they open up, when the wagons come with the papers and they open up the gates, we're gonna go in there and we're just gonna trash the joint.
Is that what soak 'em means? Because I was really put off by the idea of soaking scabs. It's like, this sounds disgusting. They're scabs and we soak scabs.
Yeah, so they got fed up. They're like, let's do it. They go in there. We're gonna trash the joint, and we're not gonna let them sell papers. And anybody who does want to sell papers that isn't part of us, like unionizing with us, we're gonna
stop them.
We're gonna stop them. We're gonna bully them too. And that whole scene happens. They call the cops, and poor Crutchy. One of my favorite characters. Me and Edgar would always be like, "Hey, Crutchy," all the time.
He's an actual crippled kid.
Yeah,
who's got a single crutch.
He's got a bum leg, and he's having the time of his life, ripping up papers, and they're like running away. And he finally gets up to leave, but it's too late. The horses, the cops are there, and then the Delaney brothers punch him and drag him away, and then he ends up at the Refuge.
Yeah. And
then Jack and Davy have the plan to go bust Crutchy out, but Crutchy's like, hey man, I can't leave because the Delaney brothers, they beat on me pretty bad. I'm not walking too well. I should stay in here.
Yeah.
Because I'm just gonna be a burden to you.
It's like a home for delinquents.
Yeah.
Like a juvie.
Yep. And there's this whole story that Jack was in the refuge with these kids at one point, and escaped. And he's a storyteller.
Theodore Roosevelt.
That's a nice way of saying that he's a liar. But he's a storyteller. He says that he busted out because Theodore Roosevelt himself, the governor himself, took him out of this place.
Yeah.
And the story is still floating around. It's like, hey, David, did you hear about Jack and Theodore Roosevelt? He goes, oh, that story's real? Because David's still like, oh, this guy, I can't believe this guy. He's like, yeah, it is real. Anyway. And then, so that's how Davey's like, oh, you were here? We're like, what the heck? And you get the story of like, yeah, my parents left me, this and that, whatever.
And we didn't talk about all this and we don't need to, but basically him and Davey team up. The family accepts Jack in and they become partners because Davey's little brother, Les is like this poor kid and they have this plan to like sell Papes together. And so now when Pulitzer is like, we need to round up these guys or whatever, they come specifically to Jack. And that part, I got kind of lost because he shows back up in a suit. Like it's somehow he's betrayed them, but did they threaten something or why did he agree to this? Because I got the sense up until this point, Jack's not on anybody's side to betray anybody.
Yeah. So eventually, Snyder, the warden guy, catches wind because Crutchy sees the newspaper.
Oh, yeah. And he totally rats him out unintentionally.
Yeah.
And he's like,
that's what? Jack. That looks just like himself. You know this boy?
No.
No, my brain, it has a mind of its own. I love that word. My mind, it just has a mind of its own sometimes. Oh, so good. And yeah, so they finally, the warden guy and Pulitzer basically meet and go, I know this kid. He's a runaway. He needs to be at the refuge. So basically he's a fugitive of the law.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, let's get him. There's all this, everything in between happens, more music, which is great. Meta Larkson, singing to a bunch of teenage boys, and she's kind of a burlesque hostess.
By the way, when they first at the beginning of the movie, him and Davey, they run and they're running from somebody, and so they hide in her like burlesque house or theater, whatever. Yeah. And Jack's got this weird like complimentary relationship where he's like kissing her on the hand and she kisses him at some point, right?
On the cheek or on,
I don't know. That whole thing was a little weird, but she's like, yeah, you can hang out here, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
And then later on, when they go to David's house for the first time and Les is over there sleeping and he's just like singing whatever song about like Tootsie Hootsy and whatever and moving his little hands, and they're like, what? And it's all like, ha ha.
Yeah, they're laughing.
Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
So anyway, Meta.
Yeah, they go to Meta's to have a rally, to kind of get, they're splitting up. They're going, okay, let's get all the newsboys of New York to kind of join us, or else this isn't going to work.
Including Brooklyn. That was a big thing.
That guy was great. Spot Colson, sorry. And because he's a big territory, he's a big, he's kind of like the Don of Brooklyn. And so
Newsy Don.
They have this huge rally that they want to kind of get out to the news, but then Mr. Pulitzer bribes all the newspaper people to kind of not cover it. They're at a poker game, and he's really trying to like squash this whole newsy revolution, unionizing thing. And they catch him. They catch Jack. And Mr. Pulitzer goes, hey, listen, I'll give you money if you stop this. You'll have more money in your pocket than you ever had in your life. Sell my paper, go back to working for me, and let's call this the end. And if you don't, your friend Davey and his family, like, I will ruin them also.
That was a threat.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Davey does successfully go to break him out, but Jack tells him like, nah, you can't do this because you've got a family, I don't. Mm-hmm. And he kind of gives into the bribe, like, hey, I could go to Santa Fe because I would have
Santa Fe.
Are you there? Oh my gosh. And then that's how he kind of gets Jack to kind of betray the Newsies. And they can't believe it. They're like, this is crazy. And then Les so innocently is like, hey, he's a spy. He's just, he's tricking them, into thinking that he's, on their side now. And it doesn't work out because he finds later that the Delaney brothers are trying to beat up on
Crunchy.
On Dave.
Yeah.
And so anyway, all that happens, and I forget. Oh yes, so that's where they get the idea, because Les keeps the paper that Denton broke, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Hey, do you really mean this? We got to get this to everybody, even workers like all of the child workers in New York City, not just the newspaper ones, the ones working in different like sweatshops and all this other stuff."
So they print their own paper.
They print their own paper using Mr. Pulitz's own printing press.
Yeah.
Which he only found because he betrayed them, and it was sleeping in the basement where he found the printing press.
All right.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that really did happen. Once the Newsies kind of rounded up the rest of the children workers in New York, and I think others, to kind of unionize, that's how a lot of other industries got rights, workers' rights,
sure,
to happen. Because if it wasn't for that, because he says it in the beginning, right? The journalist says, like, this is one of the most powerful men in New York City. This is the powerful man in New York City. You can't go up against him. He's got all the resources in the world, whatever. But you can't ignore the fact that if you have hundreds and hundreds of people going no, then it works.
This is what this movie/play has going for it, that it's the classic story of you have an existing power structure that needs to be challenged, but if anybody's going to challenge it, they do it at the risk of themselves, at their livelihood, at maybe some other people involved.
Yeah.
So it just means either we just deal with it or we rise up and do something, which is, I feel like, an iconic storyline for so many things.
Yeah, it's just like David Goliath story.
Yeah. So they got kind of forced into this in order to make a change.
Yeah.
And, it could be like even inspiring, because we think about things in our own, lives or circumstances and stuff and think, oh, well, I could just deal with this, or I could, rise up and do something and, whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess it has that angle for a story. But I got to the end of this movie and I had to watch it again.
Oh, really?
So we watched it the night we were watching it. Some of my kids were watching with us. And it was not like, I am a very detailed person. So if I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom or something, or make my ramen, not that really, but like do something, I'll pause it. And with this, I was like, I got to go do this. Or I'm going to make some popcorn. And my kids were doing whatever. Like one of my kids' quotes was like, Jay was telling me that he liked it, but he's like, yeah, I liked it, but I forget how all the songs go.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's how I felt. Like I couldn't remember anything. And I was like, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
And so I went and I let it play again just to like get it in again. And I guess for me, that wash of like wide shots, that felt like the whole movie to me. Like I got kind of lost in there were moments. And when I went back, I went, oh yeah. Like, oh, this Santa Fe song, or, oh, this was the plot, whatever. But when we were watching it, I'm like, I didn't know if it was the age of it or just the way that they kind of laid it out, where I was like, this was not memorable to me.
Yeah,
I got to the end and I'm like, this is the first time I ever saw it. So I just didn't remember it.
Yeah. I wonder if that's the case with other people that see it for the first time.
Yeah, I wonder that too.
Because I thought, so one of the things that I really, really enjoyed about the movie was, I said the music, and some of the pieces of music reminded me of other Disney things, and I'm wondering if I was hoping that maybe you'd catch some of the stuff that was familiar to like other things.
I was too consumed with the logo. I was like, beforehand, I was playing at the intro logo for Disney Plus. I played, and then the song came on, and it was in the same key, and I was like, is this like why does this all feel like it matches? And then I went back to the old Disney logo, and it went from like C to the key of E, and that's where my mind went.
Yeah,
but the songs themselves,
like the one was like the where they go back to Meta's place for the rally, and hard times, good times, something, dun, da 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 da. Da 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 da. That sounds so much like something else.
Man, yeah. I barely remember that song, but I know what you're talking about.
If you listen to just the soundtrack, I think afterwards, I think you'll enjoy the music itself more if you separate it from like the storyline, because the storyline is kind of heavy as far as like what's happening and what's going on, and it's sad at some points because you got, you're talking about homeless kids or down and out kids, but the music, I mean, it's written pretty well in my opinion. And it's just memorable to me. I think if your kids watch it again, maybe it'll stick, afterwards.
Yeah, because he did, and he did tell me, like, Jay, that like I did like the King of New York song, but then he couldn't recall it. Yeah, and it was only a single watch.
It's pretty wordy music.
But you said you've never seen Annie still?
No.
And again, I grew up with that one, so there might be nostalgia there too. But when you already know it's a hard knock life for us, like those, and that's the same vibe. Like they're in this really terrible circumstance for girls or whatever, and she gets out of it. But the songs in that, I feel like, oh, okay, they're like more singable to me, but I don't know if that's because I know it, or that's because somehow they stand out more.
Maybe, I mean, it's just what gets traction, right? And what gets popular, and depending on the musical writer, all that kind of stuff. Because if it's a known artist, they are already like known, they get more traction. Like Newsies was not known. The musical people maybe weren't known before, and it wasn't like.
Was it Alan Menken on this?
I don't remember.
Okay, keep talking because I'm gonna look it
up. And I think maybe that takes a little bit. It wasn't a hit when it first came out, right? So it wasn't a hit, and it took a while for it to kind of gain traction with people, and it didn't. I mean, to this day, I think there aren't a lot of people I run into that know the Newsies. If you know the Newsies and you see me, let me know if you know the Newsies or not.
It is Alan Menken.
Alan Menken.
You know Alan Menken because like Little Mermaid.
Yeah, he did. yeah.
And whatever else. He's done so much since then.
But I think it's well written. I think it's catchy to me, but it is hard to remember the lyrics because they're so fast,
Okay.
And a lot of them.
Alan Menken, by the way, responsible for the music from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, cool.
The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Tangled, Pocahontas, Hercules, Enchanted. Okay? But all of those things to me...
Did those come after Newsies?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Newsies, well, most of them, I think. Newsies is 92, so... Wow. But, that's why I know his name. But when it comes to this stuff, it felt to me like, let's make a musical about boys selling newspapers. Here it is. And I'm like, okay, this fits the bill for that.
Yeah, it does. But I think it's probably because it wasn't... I think because it was a failure in the box office at first. I think that's probably why.
Now, there have been versions of this since then, right? Yeah. Because even on Disney, there was a newer version of it. I think there's a recorded version of the musical.
Of the musical, yep.
And then is there a new movie-produced version yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just curious what a newer version of this would look like. And I've never seen the Broadway version either.
You should see the You should see the Broadway version of it. Let me know what you think. Because I mean, it's very similar, but like I said, there's parts in it that kind of have more. They just have more of the story in it.
Yeah,
you get some gaps that they don't show in the movie. I don't think that's super important though.
I suppose we should get to what do we think of this?
Yeah, let's do it.
You know that feeling that you get when you go with somebody to a restaurant that they really love, and they're like, "Hey, I want you to try this. I don't know, pineapple pizza. I know people don't like it, but you should just try it because this is really good."
Mm-hmm.
And you go, "Okay, I don't usually like this, but I'll try it." And then you eat it and you watch your friend enjoy this thing and watching you, and you feel compelled to be like, "It's all right." This is how I feel. I'm like, I don't know, Josue. I watched this twice and I got to the end and I was like, I love that you love this.
It's pretty dated.
I love that you love this. And and you're my friend and I want you to just treasure that in your heart. But man, for me,
bless your heart. That's what you sound like right now.
This did not hold up for me. I'm like, you're like, you could, watch the musical version. I think I could, and it might be better, but I don't know if I want to risk it.
It is not. Have you watched Hamilton?
Yeah.
It is not Hamilton.
Oh my goodness. And Hamilton is 3 hours. This is 2, by the way.
Oh yeah.
This is a 2-hour deal with the credits and stuff.
Gosh.
But yeah, Hamilton, oh my gosh. I would go back and bam, ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-da. Yeah. Oh, give me that.
That's how I feel about this.
Really?
I mean, maybe not to that level because I think it's been a lot of time now.
Sure.
But
if you were to pick your top 5 musicals or 10 or whatever of all time, is this on there?
Oh, for sure. Because my musical, forte or my musical endeavors are really small.
Sure.
I mean, what other musical is there other than Hamilton? For me, Hamilton, Newsies. What else comes up to mind?
The Sound of Music.
Mary Poppins. Would Mary Poppins be a musical?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I've seen it as a musical, but I don't know if it was conceived of as one.
I would think that's up there for me.
Yeah. But I mean, it's truly The Sound of Music. I feel like iconic.
Not to me.
Oh, really? The hills are alive, Josue.
I mean, that's just been all over the place.
I feel like for a reason.
But what about the rest of it?
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens.
Is that another song or is that the same song?
No, it's a different song.
Oh, okay, cool.
How do you solve a problem like Maria? I feel like that one's got a whole account.
I mean, I know it because I did watch it with Elizabeth because she's like, you've never seen The Sound of Music? We got, that's part of like the marriage agreement.
Can we just watch Newsies again? Yeah, I don't know.
She loved it too. And she knows it so much better than I do as far as like regurgitating the lyrics and the music. Oh my gosh.
I think we talked about this because during COVID, when the kids and we were all home together, we started doing Musical Mondays. And it started with Fiddler.
Musical Mondays.
Yeah.
Oh, Fiddler on the Roof.
Started with Fiddler on the Roof because I saw it was available and I was never going to sit down and watch Fiddler on the Roof. Like I like musicals, but I'm not obsessed. But I liked being in them, whatever.
Yeah.
So Fiddler on the Roof is on. I'm like, okay, I'm here at home. Let me just put it on. And they all gathered around and watched it. And I was like, oh, we should go back and revisit stuff.
Yeah.
So we did this weekly. We would come up with some new musical to watch and it was so fun.
Newsies was not one of them.
It never even came up, and I didn't know it.
It's a shame.
So I just mean like there's so many musicals out there. So if I was going to pick like the best,
yeah.
For me, this one does not. Does not. I like that people like it.
Open the gates and seize the day. Anyway, I say it holds up.
Mm-hmm.
I say it holds up. I'm wondering if other people will watch this. And let me know if I'm wrong, if it's just pure nostalgia. If to me, it holds up.
Yeah, if you were going to sell this, it's like you should watch this because
I think you should watch this because the music is legit and the story is pretty cool. David and Goliath story based in New York City, and never fear, Brooklyn is in the building.
That kid was pretty good with the slingshot.
Yeah.
I gotta give him that.
That's gross.
It had its moments. But
what's really another thing that was really funny about this movie, learning about this movie after the fact?
Yeah.
Well, cool. One thing that's really cool, Theodore Roosevelt is in the movie. It's not really him, but the character.
Yeah.
That's really
his story ends up being true.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, because he's like, maybe this time you'll drive in the carriage.
Yeah.
So that, he snuck out on his carriage. He broke out of jail. One of the really funny things is that in this time period, Walt Disney was like really kind of not against, but really didn't want to show like, there's like the flirty scenes with the girl, whatever, but didn't show like physical affection.
Well, I mean, he kissed her at the end.
That was not planned. He wasn't supposed to. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, because I was watching it go down and I went like, oh, he's about to kiss her. Like I saw it coming.
It was supposed to be like a hug, an embrace, a peck or something small.
That was a real kiss, man. That was like, like, whoa.
Christian Bale, and I think there's interviews or quotes or whatever, but Christian Bale was like, forget it. I'm going for it.
No way.
And they were upset about it, but they couldn't reshoot it because they spent so much money with how many people were there and the jib shot, having to do all that stuff again, because this is like, I think recording to tape. So a new reel, all this other stuff. And I think he knew he could get away with it. So that's why he did it. And I think from watching this again, I think that she was in on it because.
Well, she was in it when it was happening.
Yeah.
They were committed.
They were committed. So that was a really funny thing to learn at the end there. I was like, whoa, really? Because it's like you watch that now, watching it back then as a kid, and then watching it now, knowing that, I'm like, there's no other way you could have filmed that.
Right.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of that stuff in our culture today in different movies that people love, where a character improvised something and it's like, you can't imagine that movie without that part in it.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that movie without that part in it also.
It definitely felt like, right for the moment.
Yeah. That was really cool. And at the end, Snyder gets his comeuppance for treating kids poorly.
Yeah. I mean, it has a nice resolution for the story, which I thought was good. Yeah. I mean, I heard in real life, and I'm not sure how they get into the details in the movie, that the deal that was struck was that they basically allowed the Newsies to return the papers that they didn't sell. So while the price didn't change.
Yeah. So the real 1899 New York Newsboys strike was a partial failure. Prices were not lowered, although before the strike, unsold papers were not refunded, whereas afterwards they were.
Yeah.
So Pulitzer still got that guy. He still got his money.
I have to say, I liked Robert Duvall so much in The Godfather. And in this, I was just like, oh, this is why you need to be put in the right circumstances. Because I thought, like, it was fine. It was just fine for me.
He played a really good, bad old man.
I guess.
I think he did.
It felt like a caricature to me in a way that I would expect in a musical, True. If I was watching this on stage, like, oh, the hammed up lines, it kind of like the script stuff, even now and then, you're like, oh, this would be funny on stage.
Yeah.
If you're watching a play, but I don't know, as a movie, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Well, everybody, let us know what you think. You can scroll right down on Spotify and you can let us know Newsies holds up or it's pure nostalgia.
Yeah. Let us know if you'd buy that Pape.
If you buy that Pape. I never want to hear the word Pape again.
Oh, I'm going to use it all the time.
So annoyed.
I wish we still had Papes today.
Sure, New York, get a Pape. Gotta pay for those Papes. What? 10 cents for all the Papes.
This is going to be a really interesting one to edit too, for all the plosives and
so
P's and pops that we've done on this microphone.
I do not have a pop filter.
Let's go for a few more Papes.
Let us know also if you have a favorite musical that you want us to cover, because I have a long list and I plan on sprinkling them in only very sporadically.
Let's do it.
I feel like musicals can get, too much.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know about Grease.
Oh,
I never watched Grease. So I don't know if I've been down for it.
Oh no, we did that on a musical Monday. I had never seen it. I'm like, kids, gather around. People talked about this my whole life. Terrible. Very inappropriate for the younger audiences.
Wow.
And I'm like, my mother-in-law was in town at the time and we all sat down to watch it. And I think she had seen it and none of the rest of us have, but it had probably been years. Yeah. But we're watching this and I'm like, what is happening? And I'd never seen it.
So bad.
Yeah, it was, that was not, you could skip Grease.
Well, let us know what you guys think. And if you're from Santa Fe. Are you there?
Santa Fe.
Yeah, let us know. What it's actually like. New Mexico? No, never.
I've mainly driven through.
When I was a kid, I thought he meant California. And then I'm watching this again and it's like, oh no, he said New Mexico.
Yep, New Mexico. Honestly, of all the parts of New Mexico, it's one of my favorite, but
You been there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I've not spent a lot of time. It's mostly driving through.
Okay.
Yeah. But, it's all so much desert in
is
that area of
the
country.
No? Yeah.
Santa Fe is really nice that I remembered. As far as like landscape
goes.
It
sounds really cool.
Well, when Christian Bale and let me say, the voice is also in this movie. I'm like, that was just unimpressed. Like, you could have had somebody else sing these songs. Come on, Disney. But yeah, you guys can let us know what you think about those topics, like I said, in the comment thread, or you can email us directly at musical@wdyt.show. Don't put the question mark in there, but I just want to know if people want us to do more musicals.
Oh, true.
Musical?
Yeah.
Musical? What do you think? .show. And you said you had a couple things to close the loop on. So I guess it's time to close the loop.
It's like a snake eating its own tail.
So,
a needle pulling thread. You see? That's another Sound of Music, man.
A friend of mine from church, Liz, and her husband, Scott, we were talking about the test kitchen.
Yeah.
And we did the spaghetti with the tomato, the recipe, your grandmother's.
My great uncle.
Your great uncle's recipe. Anyway, inspired by The Godfather because they do the tomato sauce. He pointed out to me that spaghetti that's good because it comes from Sicily, just like The Godfather. The guys of The Godfather, they, south of France, and yeah, it's true, and that was awesome. I don't know if we knew this in the movie.
I didn't know that. But I just thought these mobsters are making spaghetti sauce, and hey, we should do that for the test kitchen.
Yeah, but it's Sicily. They were from Sicily. That's where
Michael
that's
hides out, gets his
in Sicily, the south of France.
His wife, where he meets the love of his life, who's then destroyed, obliterated
in
a car.
And he just forgets.
Yeah. So did we.
Yeah, it comes from Sicily, and we were spot on with that.
Yeah, you said there's a spaghetti is plural.
Oh, spaghetti. I looked it up earlier.
I don't remember, but I was thinking, who's referring to spaghetti by one noodle?
Exactly.
That's like, what do you call a single M&M?
What do you call a single M&M?
This is a Reese's Piece.
The other thing that was really cool, so yeah, spaghetti is called, the singular spaghetti in Italian is spaghetto. Anyway.
That's pretty close.
I don't know why you would want to just have one strand, just one noodle.
Have some more, Michael. I can't. Oh, just give me one spaghetto.
Just give me one spaghetto.
A single spaghetto.
Hey, Crutchy, pass me a spaghetto.
Yeah, and give me that Pape.
Give me that Pape. Wrap it in that Pape. So that was really cool. Like, if there's things like that you guys notice, like, let us know. And then the other thing that Liz kindly sent me was, we did our Chucky episode and we did Halloween, which was really fun. And they dressed up their dog, Chesty, and we'll show the pictures in a Chucky outfit.
I couldn't believe it.
It's amazing. It's got a knife and everything.
I think before we watched it, if ever I had seen some Chucky thing, I would have avoided it and been like, oh, but now it really is funny to me. Like, just seeing Chucky around like as a dog is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll throw those on the video and maybe on the Instagram feed as well, because I'll stitch it over.
It's your boy Chesty.
There's no way you're going to see it on this video, but
he's a really cool, cute dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Iconic.
In
more ways than one.
Yep, exactly.
Well, so we are coming up on Thanksgiving is next week.
Yeah.
And we will be having a Thanksgiving episode, but our idea was to begin now. I don't know, when in your house do you guys start listening to Christmas music?
Christmas Day.
No,
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't. Dude, that's a good question. I don't know if I've ever like pinpointed. I don't think we have a tradition of like, here we go, we're going to start Christmas music now or whatever. But yeah. I think maybe after Thanksgiving.
In my mind, it's usually after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I know people start putting out their Christmas albums early. And of course, if you're working in a context like we do, you're thinking maybe about Christmas music earlier.
Listening to it for sure. But way earlier.
I would rather not touch it until Thanksgiving. And that is why for this Thanksgiving episode, we're going to make our first nostalgic-based music recommendation for a Christmas album. And it's one that you haven't heard yet that I'm suggesting. Yeah. The catch is we record these early. So we're going to be listening to this well before Christmas time.
Yeah. Which is okay for us.
Yeah.
You don't have to suffer through it, people.
And I don't know. We'll talk about it next week. And if by the end of the conversation, while you're cooking your mashed potatoes, and you're listening to us talk about this Christmas album, you can decide whether it's worth firing up the old turntable and putting this one on once you start into the festivities for the Christmas season.
Turntables. Oh my gosh, we're back to turntables. Well, that is a nostalgia thing. I love that.
I say that because this particular album I want to recommend, I believe, is one that we had as a record when I was a kid. And
awesome.
We didn't listen to a whole lot of records.
Yeah.
But this was one of those ones on the shelf that you would pull off and go, okay, Christmas time.
Did you guys have one of those records that had the pipe coming out of it?
The phonograph? Yeah, the player? No. It was the
You're not
90s modern version of a turntable, So it was your classic like stereo.
I think my dad had one that was built into the speaker. The speaker was built into the, I guess, however you do that.
That's kind of like that like phonograph idea. Same thing.
Yeah, so it's on the top and it looks like a piece of furniture in your home. Really nice wood grain and all that stuff, and the speaker right underneath of it.
People do that now because records have become such a thing that it's like those little compact ones they make have a speaker included.
And the biggest like selling point of that guy too is it was like anti-skip or something. because it had like shock mounted, like where the needle was, so the vibration of the speaker didn't cause it. The only problem with that though is they also knew what they were doing, because it wouldn't get very loud. So of course it wouldn't vibrate the needle.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty crappy speaker. Now that I think about it, I'm like, why did he get that?
I went on a whole journey about turntables, and the whole point for me was I like a tactile thing and I want the fidelity of sound. So I went and I bought like a legit one, but I don't have the money to really spend. So I went and got the real thing, but lower level. But I like, let's pay the money for what actually makes a difference. And I couldn't get some of the noise out of the system. And then it became a whole process of like, do you need the right preamplifier? You need it. Why? And it was too much. So finally, I just gave up and I bought like a more common brand Audio-Technica one that actually uses Bluetooth, which I can use. And so it's not for fidelity of sound or whatever. It's fine, but it works so much better. Yeah. It's like, I just don't have to worry about it.
So I have a surround sound system at the house that has phono pre's in it. They're supposed to be super duper quality, and I don't have a turntable.
Oh.
I need to get on that bandwagon.
Maybe you can ask Santa Claus to bring you one this year.
Santa baby.
That is not on the album I'm suggesting.
Put a turntable under the tree.
For me. With some anti-skip. So, but if you are curious what the album's going to be, you want to know ahead of time, you can zoom in on the artwork right now, and somehow in the Newsies art, I have worked in whatever this album is.
Hey, there was no trapeze. Remember you saying like swinging across the screen?
Oh, that's true.
There was no swinging. At least there wasn't.
It might have made it better. When those got around that Brooklyn Bridge, just seeing one of those Brooklyn kids just swing across.
But did you notice this, when they panned out on the Brooklyn Bridge that it eventually becomes a painting?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was probably getting some popcorn at the time.
You were probably
was reading my Pape. It's like, all right, what's on the news? Well, everybody, listen, if you have enjoyed this or any other episode, we would love for you to share it.
Yeah.
One of the best ways that you can get the word out about the show is take 5 seconds right now and give us 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars, thumbs up.
Do that in any podcast player, or if you're watching on our YouTube channel where we've been putting these. You can just give us a like, and it would help people know about the show.
Yep.
And until next time, we have a couple things before the end of the year that I'm excited about. Enjoy this unseasonably warm weather.
Oh gosh, yeah. It has been really warm.
I'm even wearing a short sleeve shirt in the office.
I've been working on my car, and it's been perfect out.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Get ready. Yeah. Get ready. At some point it's going to turn, but
I know. I think it's going to be a really cold winter. Like January, February is probably going to be really, really cold.
For now, we're just going to make a really warm leaf pile.
And jump in it?
I guess. While we sweat in our tank tops. All right, this was fun.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad you kind of didn't like or liked it.
I didn't like it. I just want to be very clear about that. But I'm glad we watched it, and we got to talk about it. All right, everybody.
Crutchy would be so sad.
Whatever. He's locked up.
No, he's free. He got free at the end.
He's free, whatever. No, he's fine. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.